An interesting thing about narcissists is they're always testing you constantly. Narcissists, they really look at people, particularly the people they consider to be good targets, targets of supply. They look at those people and they treat them almost as an experiment. So what they do is they're always testing you. They're always seeing how you react to certain things that they do. Narcissists, when they're getting to know somebody, or rather when they're experimenting on the person, they touch on a variety of topics. They're constantly gauging how you react to things they say, whether it's a topic of money, of success, and how you see yourself in terms of success, how you get on with friends and family. They try to, they'll touch on these topics to see if you demonstrate any unease on that topic. They'll touch on things like your health, your mental well-being, your fears, past traumas. When they're in conversations with you, when they're getting to know you as a person, they run through a spectrum of topics, and they naturally ask you very targeted questions about each of those topics to see where you wobble. What narcissists really want to do when they're testing you is they want to see what makes you wobble. They want to see what topics make you feel uneasy. If they talk about relationships with family and parents, and they can see that all of a sudden you feel uneasy about the topic of relationships with your parents, they'll see that as a cue telling them that you might have parent issues with your mom or dad, which they can see as being synonymous to having abandonment issues potentially, or some kind of trauma, which they can then leverage against you. So as, and another example could be, you could feel like a failure maybe. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted, you didn't succeed in the way you wanted in your career. And if they see that you feel yourself being a failure, they'll see that as a weak point, and they'll leverage that against you. But once they've identified something that they see as a wobble point for you, anything that kind of makes you wobble, they will focus on those wobbly points that you have going forwards. And on an ongoing basis going forwards, they will always do or say things that are indirectly reminding you of where you're lacking or what you don't have, basically reminding you of your wobble. They're constantly putting pressure on it. Maybe they'll pretend, if they know that you have abandonment issues and don't get on with your parents, maybe they'll regularly throw in conversations how they get on so well with their parents and how great it is to have that. Or they'll talk about other people and relationships with parents, and they'll say how important it is to have that. While it may seem that they're just having casual conversation with you, the comments and the things they talk about are targeted at your weak links. And they're targeting you generally to try to make you feel as bad as possible. But they're doing it indirectly. They're not directly putting you down. They're indirectly putting you down by only talking about topics that they know creates a certain feeling of vulnerability in you. But then they talk about it in such a way that they know will bring you down. That's why it's important never to give too much away to a narcissist about yourself, your weaknesses, your kind of the areas you need to improve in. Because while it is important for you to improve the areas that you need to work on, and while it's important to acknowledge that maybe there are certain topics you don't feel great about, you can put those topics and those things into better places over time gradually, just by, being positive, just kind of, going for the things that you want, and just fighting for the things you want and trusting you can have it. But what the narcissist does, they'll try to sabotage you through those things. And they'll test you constantly. If there's any lesson to be taken from that, there is something, while it's extremely uncomfortable what the narcissist does to you, if you acknowledge what they're doing, and if you kind of bounce off that, you can actually, within yourself, try to grow thicker skin in certain areas which previously created vulnerabilities in you, to become less sensitive towards those things. And maybe try to improve certain things. Like if you have abandonment issues or insecurities, or you're not as successful as maybe you want to be in certain areas, because the narcissist is constantly putting pressure on those wounds and vulnerabilities and kind of areas where you feel you're lacking, that is an opportunity for you to really try to improve those areas of your life. Not only because the narcissist is attacking them, making you feel bad, but at the same time, the narcissist is really shining a spotlight on your own, the areas in your life that you want to improve. And they're giving you an opportunity to really work on that. So whilst you might be forced to work on yourself for your own survival, because otherwise the narcissist would take you down, over time, a byproduct of that experience interaction is that you are actually improving yourself. So what am I really getting to with this? So point A, yes, whilst the narcissist they're exploiting by nature, they're belittling and demeaning by nature, putting people down. At the same time, if you have the right mindset, they can pinpoint the exact things about you that you need to improve to have a much more fulfilling life. And that's where you can actually use the narcissist to your advantage if you accept the bigger picture of what's happening here. They're showing you things about yourself that maybe you didn't want to see. They're showing things about yourself that maybe you put a blanket over, but that still exists and bothers you from time to time. After being with a narcissist for many months or years or weeks, you have a real possibility to really improve those things because the narcissist forced you to. It was almost like a life or death situation for you. And if you take that as an opportunity to really improve, you might even look back and think, yes, I did suffer in the hands of that narcissist. Yes, they did try to use and abuse me, but actually, I took something great from it.